this is Tony Redmiles, and this is my video on worksheet 3-2 for the class Discovering Exponents and Polynomials. If you're in the class, you know the drill. Pause, grade your work, and we'll get started. I'll show you how I got these answers. If you're not part of the class, but you're like, hey, I would like to learn these concepts on a live online class, all you have to do is go down into the description and click the link, and it'll bring you to my profile. I have tons of classes in that profile that you can choose from. You can find the one that works best for you. All right, so looking at this worksheet, I'm guessing and hoping that you guys have paused and graded yourselves. There's a couple things that we need to do. The last worksheet, we talked about adding polynomials, the fact that it's just combining like terms. When we subtract, it's still that, but you have to remember that you're subtracting everything in the second term. So like if I look at this first one, all right, everything in the second term is being subtracted. All right, so not just the first term. Sometimes people just put minus 3a squared minus 4a3. We have to change all the signs, okay? So let's look at what that looks like. There are two ways I can look at this. I usually show both in class, okay? So the first way is I could say subtract 3a squared, subtract negative 4a cubed. These two negatives, remember our rules of double signs. Same signs, we add. Different signs, we subtract. These are the same signs. They're going to turn into a positive. Okay, so this is the first way you can look at how to do these. I'll do the second question in the other way. All right, so now we have to get our like terms together. So let me change colors. I'm going to get these cubes together. I forgot to get the plus sign. So positive 3a, there's an understood 1, and positive 4a cubed, that becomes 5a cubed. Now for my squared terms, I have a negative 2 and a negative 3. That becomes a negative 5. And that a squared is still just along for the ride, like in the last worksheet. So hopefully you've watched the last worksheet, the 3-1, before you're watching this. Because if not, it's a little confusing. I'm skipping a lot of the things I addressed in that one. All right, so again, let's do this a different way. So some people, this is actually the same way as we did in number 1, only they like to put their negative and put everything in parentheses. This helps them sort of identify what they're doing a little bit better. Doesn't matter which way you want to view it or look at it, just as long as you pick one. Okay, so just like in distributing, when you did combining like terms, but you did distributing with it, you got to put a 1 there. It's a negative 1 being distributed through the second term, and what it's going to do is change the signs. Okay, because a negative 1 times a negative 3, negative n to the third is going to give me a negative 3n to the third. A negative 1 times a negative 4n is going to give me positive 4n. Now, why do I show both ways in the class? Sometimes I get students who are upset that I show multiple ways of doing things, and there's a reason I have to show you this flexibility of what's going on. Sometimes we're going to want to look at it and just know inherently I can flip the signs as I go along because I'm subtracting, these are double signs, blah, 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 blah. But now we see this connection. You probably always wondered why double signs take multiplication. Well, it's because you're just distributing a negative 1. That's what's been going on all this time when you've done double signs. You're distributing a negative 1. Or you're distributing a positive 1 and everything goes to a different sign, okay? You're distributing something. Okay, that's what that means, all right? So that should be your aha moment of why I've always done in double sign integers in this manner. Okay, seeing both ways should trigger that for you, and if it doesn't, let me know. I'll give you some smaller examples and we'll build up to big ones like this. This is that time when you get to see full circle on that kind of rule that you learned back in pre-algebra. All right, let's get some like terms together. Okay, so our highest degree of power is the third, so let's get these two together. If I put those two together, negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6n cubed. And then let's get these 4's together where they're both positive. So 4 plus 4 is going to give me a positive 8n. All right. So the next one, doesn't matter which way you do it, okay, but you got to figure out a way to do it. I'm going to just keep flip-flopping the way that I do it. So in this one, I'm just going to subtract everything, clean up my double signs. So subtract the r fourth, and subtract the negative 5r third. Take these two signs, clean it up. Turn it to positive. My highest degree of power does not have any like terms to it, so it's just a negative r to the fourth. All right, now these two are both positive, so I just add, and that becomes a 9r to the third. And then my 3r is all by itself. So here's my answer. Remember, you could write these in different orders, just as long as every term has the correct sign, correct coefficient, correct degree of power. I don't care about the order of the terms, but just to give it a unified look, I am doing it using the standard method of I'm putting them in order of degree of power. All right, so in this one, I'm going to do a parentheses. And I'm going to distribute through a negative 1. And again, you should see, oh, this negative 1, that's what I was doing. I was distributing. That's why the signs follow the rules of multiplication, because you're distributing a negative 1 through. All right? Negative 1 times 3x is going to be negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 3x fourth is going to become positive because two negative numbers are being multiplied together. Highest degree of power are these fourths. So 3 plus 3 is 6x to the fourth. And then I have these, and they're both negative. So minus 3, negative 3 minus 3 is going to be a negative 6. I'm adding up my debt, and the variable is along for the ride. All right, and this one I'm just going to distribute it. I'm just going to do it, subtract it, and clean up my double signs. All right, and I'm subtracting 3n squared. I'm subtracting 114n to the fourth, and I'm subtracting a negative 7. Clean up these two signs by making it positive. And my highest degree of power is this negative 3n4 and negative 114n4. If I combine those, I'm adding up my debt. It's going to be a negative 117n to the fourth. I don't have any third power, so I'm going to go on to the second power. 10n to the second power minus 3n to the second power is going to give me a positive 7n to the second power. Have nothing in common with this, so it just drops down. Oh, my stuff's disappearing. And this answer is going to be negative 117n to the fourth plus 7n to the second plus 8n plus 7. Very good. No, I didn't write it out, but let's see. Did it stop? Nope. Sometimes my pen does this. Don't ask me why. So let's look at this one. Okay, I might not have the pen function, but we'll figure it out. So in this one, I'm going to subtract the negative x cubed, subtract the 8, and when I subtract this 4, these two signs are going to go to positive. So I'm actually adding it. All right, so let's combine some like terms. I have negative 13x cubed minus 2x cubed. They both have the same. Oh, but I forgot this positive 4x to the fifth. It's not like with anything, so let me write that down in my answer. All right, so negative and a negative, adding up my debt, that's going to be a negative 15x cubed. All right, I don't have any degree of powers of 2, but I do have a degree of power of 1, and it is not like with anything, so it's just going to hang out in my answer. All right, and then the last thing I have is these constant terms. They're also right. And remember, this one's now a negative 8. So 7 minus 8 is going to be minus 1. Oh, this one's a big one. I'm going to go ahead and do it using distributing. I'm going to do it using distributing of this, and I'm going to use different colors. But just give me a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this all out. Okay, so I'm going to subtract all of this, which means distributing through a negative 1. I'm sorry for the crash in the background. People are awake and moving in the house. So negative 1 times 12v5 is going to be a positive. Two negatives make a positive. Negative 1 times my positive 4v5, v to the 5th, is going to become negative because they're different signs. Negative 1 times the positive 4v to the 3rd is going to give me a negative 4v to the 3rd. Negative 1 times the 14v to the 2nd is going to give me a negative 14v to the 2nd. Now let's get these like terms together, okay? So first I want to get all these fifths. Just sometimes doing it. All right, well, I want these two as well. All right, so that's going to be 3 plus the 12, which is 15, minus the 4, which is going to give me a positive 11 v to the 5th. All right, so that's all of these terms. So if I go down the line to the next one, it's going to be my 8 and my 4. I just got to get through this one. Sometimes. Well, I might not be able to use different colors. Okay, this is going to be a little thicker. Let's just change the thickness down. Okay, well, it is what it is. All right, so I have this term that has a 3, and this term that has a 3. So 8 minus 4 is going to give me a positive 4v to the 3rd. Okay, so this one's done, this one's done. Now let's go on to my squares. All right, so now we have to do these v's to the 2nd. So let me change my color again. Somebody let me change my color. I'll do this one. Okay. Oh well, we're going to make it through. Negative 10 minus 14, adding up my debt, it's going to be negative 24v to the 2nd. All right, so this is worksheet 3-2. Keep doing it till you feel like you master it, and I will see you in class.